My feeling and my theory or my passion or my statement is that actually they are showing us a path to a better society. For all of us, you don't have to accept abuse. You don't have to accept gaslighting, lies, triangulation, all these manipulation tactics that are used actually in our whole society.
Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Welcome to Her Unapologetic Voice, the podcast where we amplify the voices of women who refuse to stay silent, who rise from pain into purpose, and who use their story to create change. I'm your host, Angeline, and today's conversation is one that speaks directly to the heart of this platform and to me. My guest today is internationally renowned artist, activist, and founder of the transformative exhibition Wonder Women Now, Anne Plaisance. So Anne is not just a painter, she is a woman who has turned art into resistance, creativity, into advocacy, and the canvas into a powerful platform for women's empowerment. With over 100 exhibitions worldwide, major distinctions from the Cambridge Arts Council and the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and her work featured in the Boston Globe, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle Decoration, Anne's art has reached across continents, from Paris to Dubai, from Kyoto to Boston. But what makes Anne's work truly extraordinary is not just where it hangs, it is what it stands for. Her art confronts silence. It gives form to invisible trauma, and it boldly addresses the global issue of domestic violence, survival, and the resilience of women. Anne once said, "My art is my voice in a world often silenced by fear and injustice." And today she brings that voice here. So in this episode, we talk about art as a form of resistance, creativity as a path to healing, the power of making the invisible visible, and how women can reclaim their voice after trauma. This is a conversation about courage, about truth, and about what happens when a woman decides she will no longer be silent. So without further ado, let's welcome Anne Plaisance to Her Unapologetic Voice podcast. Welcome, Anne. So great to have you here on my podcast show today. Really excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's really an honor to be with you today.
And it's an honor to be with you too. So I always ask my special guests, where are you live streaming from?
Friday, it's almost 2 p.m. I'm in Massachusetts near Boston, and we are expecting a wonderful snowstorm.
And we are praying for the Northeast because I used to live in Saratoga Springs, New York. So I can feel your pain.
I will be shoveling.
No, hire someone. Oh my God. Yeah. I know that feeling all too well with snow and everything. So we are praying for everyone who lives in the Northeast, by the way, and also in the Midwest. Stay warm. Seriously. Stay warm, stay inside. Do not go outside unless you absolutely have to. And what I used to do before we get into the topic, I used to sit by the fireplace in my apartment, and I had it because I lived in a 2-bedroom, and I would have the fireplace on and read a book and just put the blanket over me. But now I can go to the beach tomorrow. Anyways, okay. I can go to the beach tomorrow. Okay. So anyways, I am really, really excited because I want to talk about your journey. And I know that we had the pleasure of meeting at a virtual speaking event. It was about a month and a half ago, and excited to bring you here on my show. So I know that you say that my art is my voice in a world often silenced by fear and injustice. So when did you first realize art would become your voice?
That's a very good question. I think it was a few years ago. I had like many, examples of my art becoming my voice. So I'm mainly a painter, like you can see in the back, a few of my paintings. One is of Maya Angelou that I dearly love. I love her poetry and her inspiration. But I would say like very often my paintings, I would have some ideas that of course I need to, implement. And sometimes I didn't really know where these ideas were coming from. But looking at what other people would say about what they were seeing on the paintings, were like, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that? I remember doing a painting like many, many years ago. So it was a woman with the eyes, covered. And I had my cousin in France who were like, hey, Anne, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, why? It's a critique of, our consumption society, because it was a Louis Vuitton, a piece of plastic that was on the eyes of the painting. So I was like, yeah, it's all about consumerism, like how we are blinded, etc. But she was like, yeah, no, yeah, are you in a difficult situation? No, why?
Right.
It was interesting. So it's been the process quite often that my paintings would just like I would pour out things that were like in my heart, in my mind, in my soul, that were very like that were in the background, that I was not aware of. So fast forward, actually doing art workshops in a shelter in Cambridge, in Massachusetts. Just for the backstory, I was born in France. I studied at the Sorbonne. I moved to Poland. I stayed there 18 years, working in advertisement and then becoming an artist. And then I moved back to France and then to the United States. Wow. It's been a mess, but it's been interesting. An interesting mess, meeting wonderful people all over the place.
Right.
When I moved to the United States in 2015, I was really, really impressed by the sense of community. That it's like, yeah, we all help here, people. We have a gathering. I was like, wow. And I felt really welcome here. People were lovely, welcoming, kind, etc. Well, how can they help? So I want to do that too.
Sure.
I noticed that there were a lot of homeless people on the street in Cambridge, and I was like, how come? It's the place where you have, MIT, BU, Harvard, you have like the highest, I think that it's the highest concentration of IQ in the world. So how come they didn't solve the issue? Like, hey guys, hey women. So I thought, okay, I have an idea. I will create a tiny house and homeless people will. So I met with the executive director of a shelter in Cambridge. She listened to me. Then she asked some question, and I don't like your idea, but I like your thinking. So here's my. So she explained to me that actually very often, for example, you find homeless women on the streets, and usually they are fleeing abusive situations, toxic situations, dangerous situations. Of course, I had no clue, and I was like, oh yeah, forget the tiny house. Of course, it's not safe. Forget about it. That's really a bad idea. Let's do something else. So we began actually collaborating. We began doing art workshops in the shelter. So we were, in the kitchen, in the shelter with women, coming, sometimes with kids, like running around, like around the table, like the mom, like, hey, here. And I did that for a while. So it was like maybe once a week or once every two weeks. It depended. And at the beginning, I could see these women who had left, one child under the arm and one plastic bag for some of them with, few belongings, like completely depressed, complete shadow of themselves. That's really what I was seeing. Remember at the beginning, they were saying, hey, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to paint. It was like, do you know how to write?
Yeah.
If you know how to write, you can create, you can do that. Don't worry. We did some fun activities. The goal was really to create some joy, some moments, little moments of joy in their, day or in their week.
Right.
Because it was like, yeah, don't worry, we'll have fun, we'll do some collage, we'll do some fun activities. So I saw the transformation, after weeks after weeks after weeks, becoming like more like secure, more powerful, more confident, more. It was like seeing flowers blooming. That was really what I saw. So I saw the power of art in action in this setting, and inspired by their stories, I was like, you are amazing. I'm like, I could never do what you did. You are Wonder Woman for me. So what I did, you know what? I have an idea. Let's do a photo shoot and photograph you with like mask to protect the identity of the women, and like different fabrics from different countries. I wanted them to reappropriate the myth of, the symbol of Wonder Woman, because not everyone is comfortable running around in a little bikini.
Right.
It's like, maybe do you have like a bigger bikini,
Yeah.
showing everything. So everyone was having fun. We did a photo shoot, and just for me, seeing the transformation, like before the shoot and after the shoot, how they were like, oh, I loved it. They had fun. They had joy. There was some shyness, some timidity, but after the photo shoots, they were like, I like that. And then when they saw the pictures, that was like, wow. They could see the transformation. They could see themselves the way I saw them, as Wonder Women. And why do I see them as Wonder Women? Because they had the courage to leave everything, inspired by fear on one hand, of course. There are so many feminicides, so many women who are killed when they are trying to leave their abusive partner.
Sure.
But very often it's the life force, it's the love for yourself and for your kids that was inspiring them to, I can't take it anymore. I can't look at my kids suffering. I need to do something. So for me, it was really celebrating the strength, the resilience, and the courage that all these women had.
Right.
And I was thinking, there's a taboo around homelessness. There's a taboo around domestic violence. There's a taboo.
That's true.
And there's also the shame that is put on women. Like, yeah, why did you stay? Yeah, ask, why did he beat me up? Why did he do that? Let's put the shame where it belongs, on the abuser and not on the victim. My feeling and my theory, or my passion, or my statement is that actually they are showing us a path to a better society, for all of us. Like, you don't have to accept, abuse. You don't have to accept gaslighting, lies, project triangulation, all these manipulation tactics that are used actually in our whole society, whether it's at home, at school, in the boardroom, at work, in the political arena. It's everywhere. It's omnipresent. So just to give you an example, like based on all my work with, with survivors of domestic violence, I created a huge show called Wonder Women Now. It's exhibition under the symbolic shape of a house, in which you go from the public space to the private space. So you imagine a house, enter, you go to the living room, some furniture, a sofa, and you have some like paintings, photographies, you have a radio that is called bullshit radio, for example. That is a participative performance where people can write down what they heard from their abuser.
Sure.
So it's like people are writing down, he told me, yeah, I don't care about your cancer, you can die. Or I don't care about this. Or you're such a blah, blah, blah. So, because very often there's a lot of shame for victims.
There are. Tell me about it.
Yeah, and victims feel like that they are by themselves. The Wonder Women Now project is really showing that it can happen to anyone. Me personally, I had to leave my previous partner 5 years ago during the lockdown, during COVID in 2020. Wow. I was afraid. I didn't know how he would react when I would ask for a divorce. I was really like super scared, my kids too, and I couldn't just look at how much suffering there was in my home, so much pain, and know, no hope for change. So one day I just disappeared. I took the kids and the dog and we hid for a few weeks. And I can't, I just can't. And one major, thing that was, it was inciting and motivating me to change my life completely was that my younger kid had strong depression and social anxiety. And she had a long episode, in a hospital for suicidal attempts. And it was like horrific. It was very scary. It was like, I thought several times that I would lose her. And in 2020, at one point, she was beginning to burn herself.
Oh.
And to scar herself. And I was like, I can't. And she was like, when are you leaving him? Because I don't know how much I can take it. And I know what it means. And I don't want to lose her. I was so to lose her during like almost 1 year that I thought I need to do something and to do it ASAP. So fast forward, it's like I didn't think I was in an abusive situation. It's really looking at the circle of violence, at the patterns, the tactics of manipulation. So there are like 40 tactics of manipulation that I had no clue. I was naive. I mean, we don't talk about it, and it's omnipresent in our society. So to give you an example of art, I created these perfumes. So there are like several ones, because the question is, okay, how do we give a tangible form to something that is so pervasive and intangible? So very often when I show it, people are like, what's the smell? I'm like, yeah.
I smell it too.
So my question to you is, what is the smell of gaslight? What is the color of a lie? Or, what is the shape of manipulation? You can't see. So then people are, yeah. And there's something else also, like the perfumes, perfumes have very complex chemical reactions. And I was thinking, actually, it's also a bit like in abusive situation, you have a complex mix of manipulation tactics. It's like the push and pull. It's like cold and hot. It's like you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. The scent, the smell is really like that. It's directly wired to our limbic system. So, for example, it goes directly to the amygdala, where emotions are processed, and directly to the hippocampus, where memories are processed. So when you join your smell, emotions, memories, so you can have like good memories, like, oh, I remember my grandma was doing this wonderful cake. It smells so good. And somewhere you go on the street and suddenly you smell it and you're like, oh, and memories come back of your cherished moments with your family. But for difficult events, it's the same. You can have a smell and suddenly like it goes back. You have a flashback that is quite violent.
Right.
So that's why I was like, okay, let's do a different type of artwork to use as a tool, as education, as empowerment. The more you know, the more you are able to recognize what is going on, and the more you can empower yourself and leave an abusive, toxic situation, where it's at home or at work or,
Right. It can be between siblings too.
Oh, yeah. So for example, since you're talking about siblings, I did also a big project called Bedrooms about child sexual abuse. So imagine boxes in which you have little dolls pinned on the background. Under the doll, you have a testimony of someone who has been abused sexually when they were a kid.
Yeah.
So it's another subject that is taboo, difficult to speak about. The issue is that if we don't speak about all these difficult and uncomfortable subjects, how are we supposed to have a caring society? How are we supposed to have a better society? So I would say maybe I'm a bit of a masochist, dealing with that kind of difficult subjects. Excuse me, my belief is that the more you talk about these subjects and the more you create safe spaces for people to share.
Exactly.
the more you see that it's not like an individual issue, it's a systemic issue. So then you can, like, okay, let's share our stories. Let's be there. Let's be present for each other. Let's care for each other. Let's support each other, and let's try to find solutions. What works in other countries or in other cities or in other cultures to implement this.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought this up because this is a global problem. And like you said, domestic violence is taboo, the trauma, the sibling rivalry, they call it, but that's not sibling rivalry. That is abuse. And I've actually experienced that myself. So, yeah. But anyways, it is, I put it behind me and I said, I'm just going to bless and release and move forward because that's the only thing you can do. For these women, I'm so glad that you created this movement for women and to create a safe space for women through art to use their voice. I mean, that's what I did for my podcast, to create a safe space for women to share their real life stories. So that's why your mission so resonates with me. What regarding the Women for Women? So what stories for women have impacted you the most through this work that you are doing? And I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Gosh, there are so many stories. There are so many women who helped me. I remember 11 years ago, I was in France and I was in a coaching program. They talked about the project, the bedrooms project with the doors. And I had one of the attendees at the end of the coaching session, approach me and say, I don't like your project. I was like, what? But it's important.
Right, exactly.
And then she shared her story with me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I would have died if something like that had happened to me." So I shared also my story, what happened to me when I was 11 or 12, and it just showed me how it resonates on the emotional level, psychological level, on the soul level with people. Like this project was shown in the south of Boston in a beautiful gallery. And I remember after the show, one lady came and like, thank you. Thank you for talking about that. Thank you for sharing that. And just hearing that motivates me to continue what I'm doing. Because sometimes, like, for this project, I will read like dozens of testimonies. And sometimes I'm like, I just can't. Like, how these kids have survived, how these, women have survived. Because when also other women share with me what they've been through, my heart is just broken for them. I'm like, do you want a hug? I'm like, I'm here. Okay, you don't want a hug, that's fine too. But I'm here if you need anything, like, how can I support you? And I'm like, so there's the compassion, the empathy, the love, the care. But then also, like, rising, there's this anger, like, what the heck? What, why does it keep happening? What can we on an individual level, on a society level, on a political level? I don't know. But I'm like, okay, I'm an artist. The only thing I can do is use my art to inspire, to bring hope, to maybe to show some solutions. Now this year I'm using more my voice than my brush.
That's good. That's good.
But it's every time there's this human to human, woman to woman. Sometimes it's men also who share their stories.
That's right. That's right. Men must share their stories because oftentimes they're viewed as like they feel that they have to be macho and hide their feelings. That's a stigma because men have been abused too. They have.
Yeah, exactly. Whether as children or whether abusive partners. So I remember like one exhibition, we were sitting in a living room. What I usually do after the show, I'm like, okay, I invite you to have a seat. We have tissues.
There you go. Bring the box of tissues with you.
I should find a sponsor like with tissues.
I agree. That'd be a good idea. That's a good idea.
So now I'm like, no one will want to come to my shows. Like, we will cry. We don't want that.
Oh, right. Exactly. Exactly.
So we all of us gather like maybe 15 people, 20, I don't remember, like sitting on several couches, people listening to testimonies or reading poetry or you're looking at a book. And then I was like, okay, so now I want to share with you my story, because the power of vulnerability and authenticity, I've seen it open up the hearts. People are like, okay, if she's talking,
Exactly.
I can do it too. And I'm like, if you want to share something, it's a safe space. It stays here. If you don't want, you don't have to. And I've seen like women and men like open up, sharing, hey, this is what happened to me and this is how I feel. And there's a lot of shame. And it's like, yeah, it's not your shame to hang to. The shame belongs somewhere else. What I see, the power of art in action. I would say the more I open up about what was going on in my life, and the more I share and I explain what are the stories behind the art, and the more I connect with people who see, okay, we can talk about it, we can use our voices, but it has like a ripple effect, because
Right.
I can have some like influence on a few people that I know, and then if they change something in their mindset or in the experience of what they've been through, their journey, they reframe it, or they see, how they can use it from pain to purpose and be transformed by it, they also ripple effect. So your platform, I'm really, so happy that you have this podcast and
Thank you.
the projects that you do, because that's exactly what you're doing, having a ripple effect with love and care to inspire more women, more people to
Exactly.
to take their life in their hands and to be in charge of them, and you're giving hope and
Thank you.
inspiration.
Thank you so much. It's a huge passion of mine.
I can tell.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it shows exactly. So, yes, it's so important to bring awareness and to empower women. Like we transformed our lives, you and I. And if we could do it, they could do it too. The women can do it, and men too, as long as they put in the work. I always say it's a lot of work. It's a lot of inner work. So how do you approach representing trauma without re-traumatizing the viewer or the survivor? I know that's a big question, but I said I'd ask that question.
That's a deep one. I think art is a good tool. So, for example, in the Wonder Women Now show, since everyone is different, there's, for example, poetry or photography or sculpture. I don't want to show something that is like too violent, because the idea is really not to re-traumatize people. It's more like the show itself is an invitation. So people come, and I've had like a lot of people say, oh, this poem, I loved it. It just touched my heart. Or like, oh, I saw this text, like there's one installation, Bullshit Radio, with, all the testimonies of what people heard. And they're like, you know what? I feel less alone because I see that other people heard the same. So it becomes like, it's not because of me, it's because of the other person.
Right.
Who had the cruelty to use these words to save them, like knowing I'm putting a knife in your, that's really how it feels sometimes. So I had people who like came to the show and like looked at something and like, I really can't, I have to go. So I understand. If you need some, tissues, time. Sometimes it's just everyone has different. We're all on a different journey of healing.
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So being respectful of where everyone is. Like for some people, it's like the wounds are so fresh that they're still bleeding and they can't. Art is really powerful. I mean, I think it's not a surprise that in some countries, dictators will do everything they can to have control over the art, have like national art, will promote that kind of artists instead of these artists. I think, art in a global form, whether it's through writing, theater, music, painting, photo, and it's extremely powerful because it speaks directly to your soul, to your heart. For each shows, I really try to, not re-traumatize people, because I want to be respectful and to be compassionate and empathetic. There's a sentence that I like. It's art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
I love that.
And I think that, that's the power of art, like, truth to power. truth to cruelty, beauty to inspire hope. I
There you
think
go.
art has an immense power, but with power comes also responsibility. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, in a way, to serve the young, naive.
The young women, because it's just they need us. They need you. And art, I love art. I love art. Yeah, I do. I do. I used to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art when I lived in New York City. So, yeah, I mean, art is a form of expression. Like some women I know who are in my community, some have like one of my clients started an Etsy store. Another client, she helps moms who have autistic children, and others, they write poetry. I always tell women, go to an art class. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
Go to an art class. It's so invigorating, and it's so empowering for me. So like in today's world, like I know that you describe art as a beacon of hope. So in today's world, what do you feel we most need to resist?
I think, yeah, art as a resistance tool is amazing. Like sometimes you don't really have an influence on others, but when you work on yourself, your change of mindset, your change of thinking, your change of behavior has a direct impact on your surroundings and on people around you. So, for example, doing art, you were mentioning that you're motivating women to do art. So there have been some studies done at Harvard, for example, that after 45 minutes of doing an artistic, creative, expressive activity, your cortisol level is decreasing, your stress level are like decreasing. So you're calmer. When you're calmer, you have more clarity, you're more able to think. There's, a wonderful impact on your ability to focus. There's a wonderful impact also on your prefrontal cortex. I mean, there are so many benefits.
Oh, yeah.
In Massachusetts, there's an initiative called Art Pharmacy, where, for example, you go to the doctor and the doctor will prescribe you, yeah, you should go and have 5 hours of dance, and you should go and go visit a museum, and you should do some painting, and you should, which is amazing because it shows the impact of art on the brain and on the emotions and on your mental, general wellness. There's a wonderful book called Your Brain on Art that shows all the impact. The lady who wrote it is amazing. So it shows the real impact of art on our own well-being. Whether you're just looking at art, you can be in awe. I think that we all need, especially in moments when we need some hope, we need to resist, we need to first fill our cup, put the oxygen mask on ourselves. So go to museums, go to festivals, look at beauty, go in nature. I think the sense of is the more you have disturbing things happening in your life or in general in society, and the more you need a sense of beauty. Art is also a tool for resistance, against oppression, whether it's at home or at school or at work. All bosses are not amazing. So actually I did a few years ago an artwork it's called Sour Times. It's a very, very powerful artwork with barbed wire, because I used tools, and I'm thinking I think it was in 2016 or 2017 that I created it. I took an old American flag and I put barbed wire over it. And I see the suffering of so many people. Whatever party you're on, I see the division everywhere, and I hate it. I'm it's not a solution to have everyone fight with each other. I think that we have more potential for solutions if we are inspired by love and care for others, for our neighbors, and if we are inspired not by fear but by love for each other. At the time, actually, it went on the cover of a magazine, and I didn't know about it. They were like, yeah, send us a big picture of the artwork. Okay. And at the time, I was waiting for my green card. I was like,
Oh, wow.
is it a good idea to have this apple cover of an art magazine while I'm waiting for the
Oh my gosh.
card? And I was like, you know what? I'm taking the risk, but it's too important to have, freedom of expression, especially in the United States. I think the freedom of expression is particularly important.
Yes.
I was like, I want to use that right. And since that time, I became an American last year, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use my freedom of expression, my art, my voice to inspire, to give courage, to share stories, and to show that if an artwork can be a weapon, if your voice can be strong and inspire change, why not using it? Why not?
Right, exactly.
So thank you for this question. It's really like you're touching my heart here.
I'm glad it's touching your heart. It's touching my heart too. And for women, how does creating art help them process the heaviness of the stories they hold?
I would say it helps art for women when they want to process. It's something that helps them be in the moment. So that's the first thing, to be present, to be attentive on one thing, to have like everything together working. So you have your mind, you have your hand, you have your heart. It's really entering a zone of flow when you're focusing on creating something. So I would say even 5 minutes, women were like busy with like zillion to-do lists and stuff to deal with. But if women and men can carve some time to do something that puts them in the flow, whether it's like singing. I think we don't sing enough, and it's really healing to sing.
It is. I agree. In fact, there's a course here where I live in a 55 plus. So we have a course that they practice twice a week, and they also perform for the community and other communities. And I agree. I love singing. I love art. I love to dance. And we have dance classes here. It's a form of expression. And I remember for me, when I went through domestic violence, because it's in my mind right now, I would take yoga classes, yoga dance classes. Yeah.
I think very often we think of healing as, having a therapist, that kind of stuff, reading. But I'm more and more convinced. I think men and women heal differently. There's a wonderful book called The Body Keeps the Score, but it focuses more on PTSD in veterans, more on men experiences, and women. I read an article recently about that actually we process things differently. Whereas trauma has a different impact. It's not like one event. It can be just one event, but it's more like diffuse because of, how women are treated in society. So I think that what is helpful especially for women, is to embody, to find a form of healing that helps, whether it's dancing, yoga, moving the body, singing, playing an instrument. I'm playing the harp. So it's just like drawing, painting, but finding a way that goes through the body, not only through therapy, but through the body, like to express the emotions that are like stuck and that you have difficulty like throwing away. And it's kind of a muscle. I feel more and more of healing as a muscle that you need to train.
Exactly. And you have to develop that muscle too.
Exactly.
That healing.
Exactly. And you need to look at your thinking patterns of like, oh, why do I have negative thoughts? Yeah.
See?
Pattern. Why did I say that? Okay. Reflection, journaling, like many apps to help you like in the daily basis to process things. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. You did. That was very helpful. Yes, you did. You did. So because we're coming up to the top of the hour, so what would you say to a woman who feels her story doesn't matter?
I would say, hell no, I don't agree with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Some women still feel that way. It's that shame and guilt, and they're afraid to come out and share their story.
Honestly, I understand it, because for a long time I had a lot of shame, and I was like, it's my fault. I was not this enough, or too much that, or whatever. And then I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, it's not my fault. I mean, of course, we all have part of responsibility. So I'm looking at the patterns and what can I work on me to not repeat the same patterns and mistakes. But it's like, we need to hear stories. We need to hear more stories because your story matters. Like someone else can be inspired by your story or can offer you help or be inspired by your story to change something. Because of the stories shared with me, it inspired me to also change my life. So vulnerability and the authenticity, and especially I think if we don't use our voice, we are giving out.
I agree. And that is what I have said all along, that you're giving them the power instead of taking your power back. Because when you share your story, you're taking your power back.
Exactly. And voices are powerful. So imagine millions and millions of women sharing their stories. It's like that was the peak of the Me Too movement.
Right.
I remember reading stories from my friends, and I was like, my heart was aching. I was like, I didn't know that this happened to you. And to me, this happened. And then it's suddenly, oh gosh, it happened to all of us.
Yeah.
Like someone will grab you in the subway, someone will say something. It's like everywhere. So it also like using your voice and sharing stories allows us to see that it's not an individual matter. It's a societal issue and it's systemic. So when you see it for what it is, you can name it and you can do something.
There you go. I love it. And when you look at your life's work, what legacy do you hope to leave for women?
I hope that sharing my art, sharing my story, using my voice will, I don't know, if it helps even one person, I will be happy with that. That's my legacy. I don't have like ambitions like changing the world. I'm trying to change myself, and that's already working on myself. So
that's good.
If I can inspire even one person to change their life, I would be really.
Exactly. Absolutely. So Anne, thank you for sharing not only your art, but your heart, your courage, and your unwavering commitment to giving women a voice. And your work reminds us that healing doesn't always begin with words. Sometimes it just begins with a brushstroke. Art, it's a symbol, a story finally told, and the decision to no longer live in silence. So to every woman who's listening today, if you have ever felt silenced, unseen, or afraid to speak your truth, let this be your reminder. Your story matters, and your voice matters, and your healing has purpose. Art can heal, and the truth can liberate. I have a final question, Anne. Where can people reach you?
So they can find me on Instagram, Anne Plaisance on Instagram. If it's useful for your audience, I have a free digital guide that they can get.
Good, absolutely.
With stories of amazing women, trailblazer, less known women. So it's bit.ly/Anne Plaisance, capital A, capital P.
Okay, let me do that again. So BIT, it's .ly, right?
Yeah, ly/Anne Plaisance. So capital A, capital P, all together.
Let me put that in.
Yeah, so they will get a digital guide which will help them become more of themselves.
I love that.
It's called Resilient Spirits, the woman they couldn't ignore.
There you go. Okay, so here we go. There should only be one slash.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this will be all, by the way, in the show notes. So, yes. Yeah. Anne Plaisance. So bit.ly /, not the 3 slashes, like I did.
Just one slash.
Anne Plaisance for a free digital guide. I'm so happy. Like, again, I'm so blessed that you were here today. And if you're ready, and when women rise in their authenticity, the world changes. So if today's conversation moved you, I invite you to share this episode with a woman who needs to hear this powerful message and powerful talk. And if you're ready to continue your own journey of healing, confidence, and reclaiming your voice, you can connect with me and learn more about my work at let'sbreakthesilence.com. And I have an announcement to make here. So please subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube at Her Unapologetic Voice Podcast. And we are also on YouTube. And this will be live on YouTube very, very soon. And also I have another announcement to make. I am hosting the Awaken Your Identity event workshop on January 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So register here. You can go to let'sbreakthesilence.com/unlock event and bring your beautiful women friends with you. You don't want to miss this workshop. You don't want to miss it. And on that note, I wish you all an amazing day and have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice Podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.